in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by another fascinating human being, the great Eddie Hall, who we had on the program just a couple of weeks ago. This was before his fight against Mariusz Pudzianowski. That was at KSW 105 this past Saturday in Poland. There was a lot of intrigue because he, of course, a former 2017 World Strongman winner, multiple-time Britain's strongest man, 5 times, 6-time UK strongest man, and of course we know about Mariusz's incredible career as well. So this was a real, worlds collide moment, and he went out there and did the job and did it in very quick and impressive fashion. He won in 30 seconds via TKO. Let us say hello once again to the great Eddie Hall, who is kind enough to join us to recap it all. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I appreciate you joining us this time in the spaceship, the familiar spot. I've seen this before in other interviews, so very cool to have you here. By the way, what is that? Is that a light on top of you there? Is the chair going over your head?
Yeah, it is. It's like a scorpion chair. So the monitors actually hang in front of me.
Wow.
And then it's got like scorpion feet either side. It's pretty cool.
This is amazing. All right. Well done. And congratulations on the win. We're a couple of days removed now. Just kind of at the top of things, how do you feel about what transpired Saturday in Poland?
Yeah, I mean, obviously to get the win was absolutely amazing. Very first time stepping into the octagon. And of course, the nerves were absolutely through the roof, as you can imagine. But I managed to step in and do the business.
You've competed on many big stages. These nerves different, greater than when you're competing in strongman or in your other combat sports ventures?
I would say the nerves are probably a little bit more because it's a fight. I think, you go into competition and you sort of have that control. You sort of know the outcome. You go into strongman, you're going to do 10 reps with that weight. You're going to do 20 meters with that truck. But with fighting, you don't know the outcome, and that of course triggers that fight or flight scenario a little bit more.
What was as we build up to the fight, like your vibe throughout the week, your interactions with him, just gearing up for that date, for that walk? How were you feeling throughout the week?
I was actually really calm throughout the whole week. I landed in Poland on Tuesday, did press conferences and interviews and everything, and just really calm throughout the week. Honestly, the nerves didn't set in, I would say, until about half an hour before the fight. And then, the runners are sort of coming in and out the dressing room and like, right, you've got 2 more fights to go. And then 10 minutes, you got 1 more fight to go. And then the nerves are ramping up. But up until then, pretty cool.
I'm sure you thought of the fight, you envisioned. Did you ever think that it would end that quickly?
No, not in a million years. I genuinely I convinced myself it was going to go the full 8 minutes. So 2 4-minute rounds. I was convinced it was going to go the full 4-minute rounds. Yeah.
Obviously there's not a lot of time to think, but I described it as you kind of throwing him, with all due respect, like a rag doll. It was just unbelievable to see someone throw Mariusz like that. When you saw that you were able to overpower him like that, what are you thinking in that moment?
It was a bit of a weird one because, as I say, I was more than willing to stand and exchange with Mariusz for 2 4-minute rounds. But when you catch somebody and you can see it in their eyes that they're sort of losing consciousness, and that's what happened. It was a 1-2, and I sort of missed the 2, and then went back in for a second 2, and caught him right in the cheek, right in the square, in the front of the face, and I saw his eyes roll a little bit. So I was just like, right, this is my time, just pounce. That could have happened after 4 minutes, but it happened 15 seconds, 10 seconds into the fight. And it was just crazy, because you sort of see red. You just know you've got to give it 100% aggression. When someone gets those eyes rolls in the back of the head, you've just got to finish them off. You've got to keep that pressure on constantly, because if they get consciousness again, then you're back to square one.
I think I saw in the aftermath that you thought maybe you broke your hand in one of the exchanges. Is that accurate?
I didn't break my hand.
Okay.
Luckily, but yeah, in the medic, after they were also unwrapping my hand, and it was just really throbbing as they were doing it. And then when they took it off, my hand was absolutely ballooned. But it's all gone down now. It must have just been some initial swelling, perhaps a very, very small fracture of some sort. But in general, the grip's come back. I don't feel like I could go back in the ring tomorrow. So.
The final exchange there has obviously been talked about. I've seen you weigh in on it. I've seen Mariusz weigh in, and it's the shots to the back of the head. This is all very tough because we've seen it in MMA over the years so many times. It happened to Brock Lesnar. Like when someone is sort of scrambling, it's very hard to aim. And if someone's moving while you're doing, and so if it's not malicious, if it doesn't seem intentional, often it is something that the referee doesn't call. I did see you sort of apologize for it, saying it wasn't your intention. Looking back now, how do you feel about that final sequence?
You know, if I could go back in time and not hit the back of his head, I would. You know, I would say I massively regret it, but it just happened so fast. You know, it's my first fight. You're trying to hit the front of his face. He's turning his head. He's giving the back of his head to you. It is just one of those things. And as I say, I hold my hands up. It happened. One shot is too many to the back of the head. So, you know, never mind 2 or 3. So I just hold my hands up, massively apologize. I think the referee, you know, was just it just happened so fast. But he told me off. I think when it was on the ground, I gave him one to the side of his head, one to the back of his head. And then as I landed that one on the back of his head, the referee was pointing. I was like, right, okay, yeah, side of the face. So it just wasn't intentional. And as I say, if I could go back in time and not do it, I would. I massively apologize to Mariusz and the fight community for doing so, because I don't condone hitting to the back of the head. It is dangerous.
Did you have a chance to speak to him in the back about all of this?
No, as I say, it was a bit of a whirlwind after all the media are coming in, and but you know, I bowed to Mariusz after the fight in front of him. He's one of my heroes. He's won World's Strongest Man 5 times. He's someone I grew up watching in strongman, and for him to come in at 48 years of age and fight me at 37 was it was a dangerous fight, and I knew that, and he knew that. So big props to Mariusz. And as I say, at the end, I stooped and bowed and thanked him for the opportunity and gave him praise because he deserves it.
There was obviously a big size difference between the two of you. I do believe you weighed in at approximately 334 pounds, that is, and he was around 267. Were you at all surprised that he was 267, that he didn't try to be bigger to try to match your size?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I thought that he would put a bit of bulk on to sort of match my weight. But having spoken to, you know, the Polish team, he basically comes in at 121 kilo or 265 every single fight. So he never really changes his weight. And to be honest, the fact that he sort of stood his ground with the 4-minute rounds told me he was going to try and outdo me with the cardio side. So that probably explains why I didn't put weight on. He was sticking to the cardio game.
Did you lose approximately 40 pounds in this training camp?
So I lost around about 12 kilo in total.
Okay.
So I think in pounds, that close to 30 pounds.
Okay, and was that a conscious decision on your part, or just sort of in the flow of the training camp?
I think because the training ramped up so much. As I say, I went from training, I think 8 weeks out from the fight, I went from training 2-minute rounds to 4-minute rounds. So I essentially doubled my training camp, you know, and I think from that day forward is when the weight just fell off me. So I didn't really have a choice. You know, you're training that hard, the weight just falls off.
I saw when you posted the video on your Instagram, you know, a lot of big names from the world of fighting giving you props, the likes of Demetrius Johnson and Arnold Allen and John Wayne Parr, Rico Verhov. And I know you may know some of these people, but to kind of get that love from fighters who do this day in and day out, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, it felt great. You know, I've had some good phone calls. Rico FaceTime me. I had a good conversation with him. As I say, I've had lots of praise from, you know, the community themselves, Tom Aspinall. So it's been pretty cool, you know, because it was a big question mark how this fight was going to be accepted in the fight world, especially the MMA world. And it goes to show that people love it. You know, people want to see the title fights. People want to see the John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, but people also want to see the freak fights. And I think there is a big scene for it. And I think maybe me doing what I've done today is maybe opened a few doors. And I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm keeping my toe in. I'm going to keep little bits of training going and just basically see where it goes. I'm keen to continue anyway, and whether that be 1v1s or 2v1s or 3v1s. Yeah, maybe me teaming up with someone and going 2v4. I don't know, but I just want to keep this hype going. I'm enjoying it.
More on that in a moment. Could I just ask, like, one of my sort of goals, bucket list items, is to attend a KSW event. I love the production. I love the pageantry and everything like that. And it seemed like such a big deal. It seemed really fun from afar watching the event and the build-up last week. What was your experience like fighting for them?
It was good. You know, it's my first professional fight within a what's the right word? A federation.
Yeah.
And the production value was amazing. You know, you got the big screens, you got the crowd, you got all the behind the scenes production and leading up to the event. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. The tough thing for me was obviously I was being an Englishman, and it was just tough to get stuff sorted for me. You know, like before the fight, I was trying to get my hands wrapped, and they came to me like, I don't know, half an hour before my fight. Oh, sorry, we forgot about you. And I was just, that stuff like that. It's just like it pulls you down a bit, you know. And maybe that was just the language barrier that made that happen. But it was just stuff like that made me a bit like, oh, this is pissing me off. This is maybe I should have done this somewhere else. But KSW in general, amazing federation, and the fights they put on, the production, just phenomenal.
One fight deal with them?
No, there was a 2-fight deal. So the second fight is meant to be a rematch with Mariusz Pudzianowski, potentially in November. But we've got to be realistic about it, you know. I think that fight was a big eye opener for a lot of people, and probably Mariusz as well, you know. So maybe bit off a bit more than he could chew. And I don't know if that rematch is going to happen.
Would it be fair to say you're not very interested in it? Hey there, sorry to interrupt. Just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up too. You know, we've got live shows, interviews, clips, and a whole lot more going on this here channel. All right, now back to the show.
I would be interested in it. It would have to be the 2-minute rounds. I wouldn't agree to the 4-minute rounds stuff again, because it just made my camp so unbearable. Like the training for 4-minute rounds, it just became so miserable for me. So yeah, if it would happen again, it would have to be the 2-minute rounds, and I'd happily fight Mariusz again and make it even more of an explosion.
You're the A side now. You call the shots.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, I think the reigning champ, and that was something I sort of stipulated before this event. I said, win, draw, or lose, that rematch has got to be 2-minute rounds, because he got his way, and now I want to get my way for the second fight.
By the way, the size of the gloves, we talked about it beforehand. What did you end up going with?
Yeah, so I ended up, I tried the double XL before the fight. They were way too small. They made me the 4XL, wow. And they were just they fit my hand perfectly, but the padding was almost double what the double XL was. It was like I was wearing a boxing glove. So I just manned up and put the double XL on. Wow. They were tight as hell, but as you can see, the padding is the same as Mariusz. But honestly, this 4XL glove they made me, I might have been wearing a 12-ounce boxing glove. It was ridiculous.
Okay. And by the way, what happened at the very beginning? It seemed like you were drinking water, and it was like unclear, or maybe you were unclear as to when the fight was starting. What happened there?
Yeah, well, they got us both in the cage, and I thought, right, the ref's going to bring us to the center any second now. I'll get a quick sip of water before that, because I just had a bit of a dry mouth. And I didn't know. Apparently, when you're both in the cage, you must be ready to fight. So I literally turned around from having my sip of water, and it was a bit surreal. So I turned around, and the referee went, fight. And I was like, what? Seriously? And I was like, okay. And just touched gloves, and off we went. It was very surreal for me, because I thought They would have us in the center of the ring. They would go over a few of the rules. They touch your balls with the back of the hand and touch gloves and off you go. Just get my camera to focus again.
Yeah. That was funky. What just happened? Oh,
It does this sometimes. Is it coming back? Come on. Sorry, guys.
no, it's okay. Oh, there it is. There she is.
we
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't seem to bother you all that much because you disposed of him some 30 seconds later. Your name has come up a lot in the aftermath. What's going on with this Dillon Danis thing? Is this a real thing?
Well, Misfits mentioned this fight back in March.
Yeah.
They said it was in talks. They said it was going to happen, but the weight difference couldn't make it. I never got a part of that conversation, So they put this thing out on Instagram saying it nearly happened. If it nearly happened, it was news to me because I was never a part of any conversations to fight Dillon Danis, and then I saw that and I was like, right, okay, let's go for it. And then the Mariusz fight, there's been a lot of talk of it, and I would love to take that fight. I think, and I think that's exactly what this freak fighting is. It's like someone with zero experience coming in and fighting a world champion, and Dillon Danis may not be a good striker, but he is one of, if not the best in the world at jiu-jitsu. And you put a world champion jiu-jitsu against a 150 kilo ex-world strongest man, what happens? And I think that is entertainment. I think that is something people want to see. So Misfits, KSW, whoever, make that fight happen. I want to rip Dillon Danis's arms and legs off his torso.
Oh dear. Okay. What about
happen?
Ben Rothwell? I saw him mention that he wanted to fight you. Are you interested in that? He's the BKFC heavyweight champion.
Fucking hell, man. I mean, that is a hard bastard, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you want to get in the ring with the bare knuckle heavyweight champion of the world? Fuck, that is a dangerous fight. And I somebody messaged me about him, and I sort of looked him up, and as I was watching his fights, I was like, oh my God, this man's fucking brutal. So that is not particularly a fight I want to take, but I guess if the money is right, anything can happen.
So everyone's kind of coming out of the woodworks here. Is there what if you could script your next fight, like, okay, who it is, who's it against, where, under which umbrella, what is the ideal scenario for you, and when?
I mean, ideal scenario would be the Mariusz rematch.
Okay.
Second in that, I would say the Dillon Danis would be a great fight. Again, just because it'd just be fun to get in there with a world champion who has publicly said he would beat me. So let's find out. If you think you can beat me, I think I can beat you. Let's find out. And I think that could lead on to a lot of interesting things. Something that does excite me is the 2v1 fights. I look like when I did that 2v1 fight back in June, July last year, I was in my element. Like, I absolutely love that. And it's that unknown. Like, people, it's all right to say in hindsight after it's happened, but taking that 2v1 fight was dangerous. Like, you've got two arms, two legs, you've got two sets of lungs and hearts. They might not be the same weight, but it's double the trouble. And that was a dangerous fight for me to take. And I don't think there's a lot of men on the planet that would take that fight, So I think the 2v1 has got good legs. I think people want to see it. I think people want to see two good fighters go up against a 150, 160 kilo world's strongest man and see what happens.
Martin Lewandowski, the founder of KSW, has talked about you versus Francis Ngannou. Does this interest you?
Fucking hell. I mean, again, a bit like that Ben Rothwell, you know. You're basically chucking me in with the wolves doing that.
Yeah.
I would need a bit of time. I would need a lot of training, and it would have to be a lot of money. But I think with anything in life, if the money is right, I would take it. And the only way I'd fight Francis Ngannou would be a hell of a training camp. I'd probably want a good 6 to 9 months of training with top level athletes in top camps. And yeah, the money would have to be good because you're literally putting your life on the line. And I think the fun thing about that, look, Francis Ngannou outclasses me in every single way possible in the fight world. But it's that unknown. It's that if I catch him, if I throw that right hand and it just gets him on the end of the chin, it can happen. It's that unknown. So, I wouldn't be going in thinking I've got zero chance. But it'd have to be a big money incentive for me to do that and literally put my life on the line going in the ring with someone like Ngannou.
By the way, just a couple more. Any interest in pro wrestling? I feel like you would be an incredible asset to the world of pro wrestling.
I've done a little bit of amateur wrestling. And at some point there was some very small conversations with the WWE, after I won the World's Strongest Man, but it just didn't quite fit. The money versus the workload just wasn't quite there. But again, maybe me going in and doing sort of a bit like Tyson Fury and Mike Tyson and people have done, and Floyd Mayweather, just go in and do appearances. I'd love to do that, but I think I'd be quite good as a wrestler. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I'd be capable of doing the backflips off the ropes or anything, but I've done a little bit of amateur wrestling, and it's doable for me, and it's fun.
I think you'd be perfect. I also think you'd be beloved in Japan. You in Japan would be a huge deal. Any interest from them? I feel like you and Ryzen for that promotion there. Not trying to take you away from KSW. Maybe they could work together. But they adore characters like you over there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've had no conversations yet, but that would be, the most sensible thing for me to do is to go to these federations and lap up. You go and entertain billions of people out in Japan and China and wherever else, and you make money, and you make big money, and that's a win-win.
Realistically, when do you think we see you fight again?
Well, I'm dubbed to do an arm wrestle in August.
Oh,
so I'm arm wrestling this another strongman in August, which I enjoy. I really enjoy the arm wrestling, and it's quite easy to train for. So it takes sort of 20-30 minutes a day to train for, and I can still do my gym work and do my fight training. So I guess, if we did a camp from August, we're talking September, October, November, maybe November, end of November, December, something like that. So we'll just have to wait and see.
By the way, how do you train for arm wrestling? Like, what does that 20, 30-minute training session look like?
It's very boring. It's literally, you get cables, you get these weird and wonderful handles, and it's just tiny little movements. It's just little bit. You do like 100 reps of this, you do 100 reps of that, you do 100 reps of this. It's just weird and wonderful stuff. It hurts like hell, but you just got to make your arm sort of bulletproof.
Oh my gosh.
Camera's gone again.
There it is. Yeah. Okay, here's the big one. I don't know if you know this, but over the last few days on social media, there's been a big debate. Could 100 men beat up, essentially kill one gorilla?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. Well, how big is a gorilla? Let me just Google that.
Yeah.
Like, how big is a fully grown gorilla? Let me just make sense of that.
Okay.
Because I've seen gorillas in person in like close-up scenarios, and they are scary, like scary things. Weight of an adult. Should I put silverback?
Sure. Biggest one?
Weight of an adult silverback. Okay, so an adult silverback weighs between 300 and 500 pounds. So
100 men.
I would say, like, forget me now. Me as a prime strongman, like I was 430 pounds. I genuinely think two, not one. I think one would get mauled to death, but I think two Eddie Hulls at the prime with a combined weight of 860 pounds would dominate a gorilla. You would just pin it down and just hammer fist it to death. I think two big Eddie Hulls would do the job.
Okay, so that was actually going to be my next question after that. The one I was more interested in, how many Eddie Hulls would beat up the gorilla? I thought you were going to say maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're saying just two Eddie Hulls?
At my biggest. I'm 150 kilo now. And my biggest, it was nearly 200 kilo. So I think at my biggest, I think two Eddie Hulls would dominate a silverback gorilla.
Wow. I mean, maybe that's the 2-on-1 that we're talking about. Some sort of, could you imagine that?
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Didn't Mike Tyson once try to pay to get in the ring? Was it a gorilla?
Or was it a
wasn't it?
tiger or something? I don't know.
No, I'm sure it
Was
was
it a
a gorilla.
gorilla?
I think it was. I think you want to get in the zoo in the cage with this gorilla to fight a gorilla, and they wouldn't let him.
100 of me against the gorilla. Who wins?
Well, I don't want to insult you.
No,
mate.
insult. 100 of me.
Probably the gorilla. I think the
100?
gorilla. Yeah. I think he would just be one arm. He'd be throwing one person that way, one the other, one over his head. Yeah. I mean, how heavy are you?
I'm 200 pounds.
Oh, okay. So we're about 80 kilos, something like that.
Yeah, what do you think I was?
I don't know.
Sort of
You look quite, yeah,
What?
a little bit.
Maybe we need a workout sesh. You could teach me a
Yeah.
thing or two. Some goose eggs or duck eggs. Which is it?
Duck eggs is the
Duck-
one.
I
Yeah.
need a few of those. Well, no offense taken. Don't worry about it, Eddie. We're all good.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much. Congratulations on the win. Very, very fun. It was a fun build, and looking forward to what's next for you. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate you, man.
All right, there he is, the Beast, Eddie Hall. Great stuff, and there you have it. Didn't think he would say just two of him back in the day would beat up the gorilla, but I like the confidence. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.